Good evening, everyone. My name is Hillary Rodham Clinton, and this is the Graham Norton Show.
She doesn't chat to just anybody, does she? No. Oh. Well, you know what I mean. But hey, it's not just Hillary. We've got a packed show for you tonight. Later, we'll be meeting star of Jurassic Park and the new Thor movie, Jeff Goldblum will be here. Yeah. Scottish action hero Gerard Butler will be here. Yeah. Top comedian Whitehall is on the show. And with the music from jazz singer Gregory Porter. But first, she's one of the most famous names in global politics. She's been a first lady, a senator, a secretary of state, and last year she ran as the first female presidential nominee for a major U.S. party. Here to tell us what happened, please welcome Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for your patience and understanding.
It's lovely to have you here. We're delighted to see you. Now,
okay, so...
Literally, what happened?
All right.
More what happened.
Right, another what happened. So I was literally running down flights of stairs in my hotel, and I had a cup of coffee in my hand. Not a smart idea. And my heel caught on the stair, and so I jerked this way with the coffee still in my hand and fell backwards, thankfully not forwards.
Yes.
And I have a fractured toe. Oh. Yeah, nothing worse than that.
Yeah.
I can tell you I've had excellent medical care by your English medical system. Thank you all very much.
Well.
And I have one of these big boots on.
No, can I just say, we don't all get such a nice, clean, space-age boot.
It's really...
Often it's just newspaper and string.
Yeah. But it's proven to be a lifesaver because I can walk around.
Do you feel jinxed? I mean, bad things happen to you.
Yeah, well, you know, as I was running down the stairs, somebody yelled, "Give him the boot," but I didn't expect it to be that.
No, because it does seem sometimes like just the world is again you. You know, like
so
2008, it was your turn, and then along came Barack Obama.
Well, he did a great job.
Then it was your turn, and Bernie Sanders came along. Then it was your turn, Trump came along. I mean, it is like the universe is working against you.
Well, I just think it shows that some of us are able to overcome obstacles from the universe, and that's part of life, and part of my book is about resilience, because everybody gets knocked down in life. You may not lose a presidential campaign in the United States, but there will be disappointments, there will be losses, and as my late mother just drilled into me, it's not at all about getting knocked down. That's inevitable. It's about getting back up. And so here I am, back up with my foot in a boot.
Now, you're here with your book.
Yeah.
What happened? Tells the story of last year's election. And first of all, can I just say, I was slightly worried I might find it a little dry. You know, a bit...
Drink more wine.
Yeah, a bit heavy. I couldn't drink more, Hillary. But you've done it. How hard was that to get the balance right? Because there's enough in there for the political nerds, but then for a general reader like me, it's a really engaging, warm human story.
Oh, Graham, thank you. Because I wanted to be both personal and political, because it was a personal and political journey that I was writing about. And I really decided to do it partly to answer that question. You know, I feel like I have, so the title doesn't have a question mark on it, but I wanted to know what happened. It was such a surprise. It was so shocking and obviously devastating, and all kinds of consequences from that. So I dove into it, and I came out of it with a really strong sense of catharsis. I write in the book about how I got through those first weeks and months, you know, walks in the woods, playing with my dog, spending time with my friends, yoga, my share of Chardonnay. I mean, it was a combination of tools and experiences that helped me get back on my feet.
But to go from every day, every
Right.
minute of every day being sort of answered for, to suddenly have days, what was that like?
Oh, well, you know, after I gave the concession speech, and really, there were so many of my friends and supporters there, and they were all crying, and so I was comforting them because they were equally distraught. And I got a few phone calls from people during that period. And then finally it was over, and I walked out to the car with my husband, and we got into the back seat. And it was just like somebody pulled the drain. I mean, all of the energy, all of the adrenaline, which I'd been running on for months, because you don't get enough sleep, and it's, you know, really a constant marathon. So I just, you know, really collapsed. I just thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. And I felt so terrible. I really felt responsible for the loss. But I got home and, you know, put on some, you know, sweatpants and a fleece and kind of just wandered around. And then the next day, my husband and I went for a walk in the woods, and we were, you know, moving along with our dogs. And I turned a corner, and there was a young woman there, and she had her baby in a backpack, and she had her dog. And she saw me, and she just cried out and asked if she could give me a hug, and she did. And so she was so upset. And that's been my experience nearly every day since that I've been in public, is that so many people, predominantly women, but not exclusively, have been just so upset for all kinds of reasons.
Well, it was interesting, that photograph of you with the woman in the woods.
Yeah.
It went viral. I think part of the reason it went viral was because we were so happy to see you smiling.
Oh,
that you weren't, you know, caked in mascara, hugging a jug of wine, rocking. And this went viral. But then apparently the woods in upstate New York became like looking for Bigfoot. They were all up there.
Yes, we would show up, and there would be people waiting. You know, that's one of the things that Bill and I love to do, or go for these walks. And, you know, occasionally there'd be photographers. So we kept moving from nature reserve to nature reserve, trying to outsmart the crowd.
Here's a family that found all the two of you.
Yes.
And then people weren't satisfied with that. They started to kind of They started to put you in things.
Yes,
so
yes.
here is #Hillary in the wild. Literally, in this Winston movie.
I hope so.
And then this is very good. This is an actual sighting of Hillary Rodham Bigfoot. There she is. In the distance.
Well, you know, laughing is, as you are an expert at, the best cure for nearly everything. If you can get back the energy to laugh and make fun of yourself, and, you know, just start having a good time again.
So you do the walking, the yoga, a few trips to the bottle bank.
Yes.
You're probably feeling a bit better.
Right.
But then, I mean, it's sort of like Shakespearean.
Right.
You went to the inauguration.
I know.
And that was because you were First Lady, not because you'd been nominee.
Right, and you know, I really tried to get out of going. Because I was going, not as the candidate or the opponent, but as a former First Lady, because the tradition is presidents and former First Ladies all show up, regardless of Republican or Democrat, to show support, continuity of our government. So, you know, we thought, okay, maybe others aren't going. So, you know, we called... We called the Bushes, and the elder Bushes were in the hospital, which I think was legitimate. And so then, you know, we called the younger Bushes, and they said, yeah, we're going. We called the Carters. They said, yeah, we're going. So, you know, Bill and I looked at each other and they said, well, we got to go. Oh, my gosh. I try to describe in the book what that felt like, because I didn't know what to expect. What I wanted to have happen was, despite the kind of campaign he ran, I wanted him to rise to the occasion of being our president, and being the president for everybody, not just people who supported him. That didn't happen. And so we were sitting there, and we were listening. I was sitting next to George W. Bush, and Bill was on my other side, and we were listening to this really dark, divisive speech that I describe as a cry from the white nationalist gut. And I was so disappointed, really so sad that it wasn't an outreach. It was a narrowing and a hammering of what he had said before. And it's reported, so I put it in the book, it's reported that George W. Bush, as it ends, says, that was some weird shit.
And it was. And the book has been a huge success, so that's all good. I have to say, not everyone has been that thrilled by the publication of the book. President Trump made a rare foray into the world of Twitter. He tweeted about your book. Crooked Hillary Clinton blames everybody and everything for herself for election. She lost the debates and lost her direction. And you had a very good reply, I felt.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Right.
Because are you tempted to ignore his tweets?
Well, I ignore a lot of them because there are so many. You could not respond to all of them. This one in particular, I said, well, I've also written a children's book that you may find.
I haven't got your tweet here. Try this one. Did he take you up on your offer?
I don't know. I haven't heard back yet. But I do respond when I think what he has said is hurtful and unfair and really causing problems for people. And I sometimes, but rarely, tweet at him. So we had this horrible hurricane in Puerto Rico, which is a part of the United States, and 3.5 million people live there, and nothing was happening. So I did tweet at him and at the Defense Department, basically to say, send the Navy and send the hospital ship. And within a day or two or three, they actually did it. So that's what I did.
But has he set the agenda? Presumably, you didn't tweet that much before. He's brought the world to Twitter to try and explain complex things in just a few words.
Well, he has tweeted for a while, but you're right that he tries to talk about issues that are very complex. He uses it to mostly attack people, insult, criticize people. The most dangerous thing he does is conduct diplomacy on Twitter. So he is trading insults with Kim Jong-un, which is like just catnip for Kim Jong-un. He loves that. The idea that he's in a Twitter insult fest with the President of the United States. So he does things that are truly not only upsetting, but kind of inexplicable. And some of it just goes unanswered, and others I answer, and many people do as well.
Let's go back into the campaign, because one of the bits I really enjoyed was talking about the debates. Because normally you prep for a debate because it's going to be to and fro with arguments. But he was playing just a different game.
That's right. Here's what I say in the book, because I think it's really important. If you follow politics and you're interested, watch like a debate or a presentation or a rally with the sound off. And so if you watch with the sound off, you didn't pay attention to what he was saying because much of it was untrue and really just silly. He was very dominant, very big, filling the stage, gesturing and facial expressions. If you didn't know what he was saying, you would think, wow, boy, he's out there really giving it to her. So you really have to understand both what you're trying to say and accomplish and how to match that. Now, the second debate was the one I really highlight in the book.
Yes,
because
the looming one.
He loomed over me.
Yes, there he is.
And it was all designed to get into my head.
Did you know he was there?
Yes, of course I did. I mean, I think any woman would know that somebody was looming like that. So I knew it, and I was debating in my head, and I kind of share this with the readers. Look, I practice not getting flustered, not getting thrown off, being calm and composed, which I think a president should be, not impulsive and not trying to dominate every encounter. But maybe I should have turned around and said, you're not going to intimidate me like you try to intimidate women. Back off, you creep. Maybe I should have said that. It's a real lesson. It's kind of it's a thought lesson for women in public life or the private sector. When you find yourself in these positions where a male coworker, a boss, a client is, really pushing you, trying to dominate you, our usual response is to just hold ourselves together and not respond. Because if you're too hot, they accuse you of being angry. If you're kind of apologetic, like, please don't do that to me, you're accused of being weak. It's really hard to get right in the sweet spot of being strong and effective without creating additional blowback. She was so angry. She was shrill. Those are the words meant to keep women in their place. And I'm not putting up with it anymore. I'm going to do everything I can to speak up and speak out about it.
And I think everyone who heard your concession speech, that bit at the end was so moving because, you know, because your story should be an inspiring story to women, but I'm sure a lot of women are going to go, I'm never going to do that.
Yeah.
So what you said to kind of the young girls of America, though, I think was really lovely.
Well, I have this really strong belief that the best way to get sexism out of politics is to get more women into politics and make it clear that women come in all sizes and shapes and hairstyles and voice tenor and everything else. And so we can't just be pigeonholed. But I was particularly concerned about the impact my loss would have on girls and young women. So I basically said, don't let anyone tell you that your voice is not powerful and valuable.
And I think very sweetly, the message has got through because there's kind of a very specific phenomenon happening at your book signings now. And these are the little girls showing up in pantsuits. And there's been a lot of this, hasn't there?
There has been so much of it, and that little girl in particular, whose name I recall as Grace, has on a little fake pearl necklace. And you know, they sometimes come in Wonder Woman costumes as well. But I'm trying to send a very strong message to parents and grandparents and everyone who cares about children that build confidence and the right kind of confidence in both your sons and your daughters. And when it comes to girls, you know, really help build that sense of self-esteem and the idea that she is valuable, that her voice is powerful, that she deserves to be listened to, because it's got to start early if we're going to try to reach the kind of equal rights and treatment that I think we should be aiming for. So that's my mission, and I'm going right at it.
Well, you won't be going that fast, in fairness.
No,
but,
not yet.
we wish you well with the healing. It's been such a privilege to spend time with you. Thank you very much. Hillary Rodham Clinton, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What a treat. Hillary Clinton there. And we, in fact, recorded that earlier. And if you'd like to see more of our conversation, the full interview will be available on iPlayer from tomorrow night. All right, let's meet my next guest. He's one of the country's top comics. Always a pleasure to welcome Jack Whitehall, everybody. Hello. Hi. Lovely to see you. This Scottish action hero starred in Olympus Has Fallen and is back saving the world in Geostorm. It's Gerard Butler. I'm really well. And he's made a fly. He's fought dinosaurs and even saved the planet from aliens. Now he faces off against Thor himself. Please welcome the great Jeff Goldblum. Sit, boys. Sit, boys. Sit.
Yes.
Good guess. Good guess. Go.
He's still waiting for
Oh, my God in heaven.
So sorry.
Oh, left you hanging.
Hillary didn't even say hello to me.
I know you missed the Hillary. Sorry about that.
I would love to have seen Hillary.
Well, you can if you watch telly.
I'll watch her. I met her once.
Oh, yes.
I did. When did I? You know, we were at some event, but it's a small, I think maybe a fundraiser at somebody's house, and you know, sure enough, we found ourselves at a, eating at a buffet little thing.
Yes, of course.
And it was just she and I said, geez, I'm so happy to meet you. I admire you so much. This is a while ago. You know, she was very nice. That's my story. What a story. Drive safely. That's our show.
Yeah, work on that.
I saved that for this special moment.
But now the weird thing is, poor old Hillary isn't the only accident-prone person this week. Gerard Butler, now what did you fell off your motorbike? You were driven off your motorbike? You were crashed? What happened?
I fell off a motorbike. I do not fall off motorbikes. No, it was actually about two weeks ago now, but I was in LA and I was on my bike, and this woman went from a parked position to basically try and do a U-turn, and I went right into her, and I didn't really have much time to slow. Yeah, thank you for the.
Yeah, sorry, I was just imagining.
But, yeah.
It's like London Has Fallen.
Pretty much. And I went about, because there was a bunch of people just happened to be there. They were in a staff meeting looking out and people unloading a truck. So apparently I went about 30 feet through the air, did a somersault and smacked down. And I jumped right up because I'm like, remember who you are, you got to keep it together. And the second I jumped, I went, oh, fuck. And I knew I'd done something. I actually fractured 5 bones in my right foot and did in both my knees. But I pulled the helmet off, and it's like, oh, shit, it's him. and then this guy takes me over and goes, he banged your head. And he sits me down, and he's rubbing my head. He goes, okay, what's your name? I went, it's Jerry Butler. And this guy behind him's like, I knew it. I told you. What day is it? I didn't know what day it was before the crash. But anyway, it's been a bit of an inopportune time because I've been filming a bunch and on this press tour, so like going from crutches on to talk shows and. Like,
but you look incredibly well for a man who.
Yeah, I'm an animal. That's right.
Yes, it's an animal.
When did you do that? How long ago did you do that?
It's about 12 days ago.
That's impossible.
Okay.
And you're broke. You said you're
five,
broke.
5 fractures
And
and
your
then 2
knuckles all
micro
shredded
fractures,
as well.
torn meniscus, sprained MCL, is it? And then I've also this burned right through the bone. Actually, it was pretty hefty. It wasn't.
I
pretty...
split a nail playing squash the other day.
You had a car crash. I don't know about you. had a car crash as well, huh?
I had a car. Yeah, I did actually have a car crash
I
about
know.
4 or 5 years ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Awful. It was like a proper near-death experience. But the worst thing was you learn so much about yourself because I literally cheated death. And I remember that my DVD was out that week, and I thought if I had died, I would have shifted so many more copies.
Oh dear. Jeff Goldblum, you were here to tell us about the latest Thor movie, Thor. Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. Yeah.
I lost confidence then. I
know.
I thought I knew how to say it, but Thor Ragnarok. Ragnarok,
yeah.
It's out next Tuesday, 24th of October. Yeah. Now, I've seen it. It's great. You haven't. You can probably guess. Jeff isn't Thor, so who are you?
I'm the Grand Master. That's the name of my character. I don't know if you've read the comic books, over the last couple of decades. He's been in the comic books. He was came about shortly after the Big Bang, 4 billion some years ago, along with his brother, played by Benicio del Toro, in another movie, The Collector. Did you see another movie with Benicio? That's my brother, and I'm immortal. This character, and I have all superpowers that you've ever imagined anybody to have. But now I run this planet called Sakaar. It's a very fun planet, and I just like to play games and pit people against each other for combat and stuff like that.
It sounds like he's making it up, but that is in the movie. That is actually what happened.
Didn't you like that?
Yeah,
movie?
no, yeah,
I got
really
a big kick out of it. And Taika Waititi, the great director, he's all over that. If you know him, he's a comic treasure.
Yeah, because we had Sam Neill on talking about The Hunt for the Wilder People.
He did that, and What We Do in the Shadows. Did you see that?
Yeah, we love that film.
Improvised funny vampire movie, and the cast. The cast. Sir Anthony Hopkins and Chris Hemsworth, of course, is Thor. Tom Hiddleston is brilliant, and we improvised a lot of it. And it feels like an experimental thing. They build into it an extra shooting period after, so they see it, and then they rewrite it, and they put it together. It's done for an actorly, beautiful, creative experience.
Well, let's see a clip. This is you. Essentially, you've captured Thor, and you're trying to figure out what to do with it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That works real different around these parts. On any other world, I'd be like millions of years old. But here on Sakaar... In any case, you know this, you call yourself Lord of Thunder. God of Thunder.
I have never met this man in my life.
He's my brother.
Adopted.
Is he any kind of a fighter?
You take this thing out of my neck and I'll show you.
Now, listen to that. He's threatening me. Hey, Sparkles, here's the deal. If you want to get back to Asperg...
Asgard.
Any contender who defeats my champion, their freedom they shall win.
Fine, then point me in the direction of whoever's ass I have to kick.
That's what I call contender. Direction would be this way, Lord.
Ah, looky!
The great Chris Hemsworth, not only athletic but comically very gifted, a very wonderful actor, and Tom Hiddleston. He did Hamlet here recently.
Yes, he did.
Did you see it?
Of course not.
He's fantastic. He does impressions. Oh, I saw him do an impression.
Oh, he
with
did.
Robert De Niro.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, it's great. I YouTube.
What a night.
That night back then?
No, it's
Did
fine.
the impression of Robert De Niro to Robert De Niro?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it scandalous or touchy or?
It was an odd thing to do, I felt, personally.
Oh, really?
But if you enjoyed it, that's good. No, it was a very good impression.
I didn't do my Gerard Butler to Gerard Butler.
Not yet.
Not yet. The night is young.
When will you finish that tea? Now,
This is actually wine, and because I knew the other guys were getting water, so I maybe just put the wine in a teacup so no one knows. But I said like a mug. I didn't mean like a teacup and saucer. It's just wine. Look, it's all just wine. Oh, now I've said it.
I was like, that's pretty together of you.
Oh yeah, I should have said herbal tea, and I could have got away with it.
Yes.
It is. It's mint tea.
no. But I think that makes it look like you've got a problem if you're drinking white wine out of a teacup. Like, no one must know.
Yeah, but normally when you go on chat shows, the host doesn't drink, and so I forget, and then you come on here and you're like,
Okay. How much do you consume per show of that?
No, very little.
Okay.
Very little.
all of those vases were full of
Yeah.
at the beginning of Hillary's interview.
I've never got through a case. I mean, now, Jeff, we must ask. Well, I know. Are we allowed to say this is weird? Are we allowed to say what age you are going to be at your next birthday?
Oh, yeah. This weekend, I turned 65.
Wow. How annoying is that? How annoying is that?
Look.
That's insane.
Well,
What did you get from
It's all so tight. Sometimes you touch it and it falls apart, but that is...
Because I've touched a lot of 65-year-olds' faces and hands. Something I do. It's kind of weird.
And is there a dreary secret, or is it just genes?
Well, it's no secret. There's nothing happening here. I'm coming and going very quickly. You know, I'll be gone very soon, I'm sure. But you know, I do live I like to. I'm disciplined. I do my little workout, such as it is. I won't bother you with what that is. But I do a couple of things, but I do it daily. I like to get some sleep, and I try to eat the right.
Oh my God!
the right
I'm gonna
way.
be
I
dead
don't
in
know.
a year. Listen. What? I don't do any of those things, but
Well, you work out. No, you won't. You lift
I
heavy
work
things.
out, but my workouts, like when I had the bike crash, I was already wearing neoprene knee pads because I'd screwed my knee working out. When I work out, often it's to train to get big. Like I just put on 30 pounds, and then you lose it, then you put it on. So normally it's a pretty staunch workout that doesn't do you many favors. It's not really about longevity.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
about let's go, baby.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I always have that. It's the bouncing around that I find hard. Right, you lot can shut up.
Yeah. But the good thing is, there is good news. If you're looking at Jeff thinking, this is so wrong that he looks like this, but one part of aging has affected you, the additional grooming that is required.
I like to groom. Yeah. You must be already.
Oh, please, all over.
Well, yes, you get. Have you gotten a little?
No.
No, really? Well, you're a young man. I like to take a tweezer. What do? I like to take a tweezer and get the odd hair out of here.
Oh, no, I need a Flymo. It's just
Well, I don't want to get them. I don't want to shave it. You know, that's an option. I like to get them out at the root, and it's like weeding. It's like the thrill of the delight of weeding, because you get that thing and you're clean as a whistle. Look at that. And you get them out. It's nice if you can. I got it. So there's that, and then there's nose. The nose issue.
I have had a bit of that.
Have you?
Yeah.
What's may I ask? It's a trivial and mundane and not interesting thing, but may I ask you, because I'm interested in it?
It's like you would imagine I do, which is.
You rip them out by hand.
I rip them out by hand.
Oh,
Is that
You're too young. You don't have them, do you? You don't
I
have
don't
them.
have pubes yet.
But you don't pluck them out. You have quite an odd technique, I think.
No, I don't pluck them out. Nobody plucks them. You're not serious about that.
I
You don't
am
pull them out.
serious
You
about
actually
that.
pull them
That's
out.
horrible. That's not the right idea. I mean, I guess
He does it when he's on his bike, and then...
It's personal. No, for a second, I had somebody given me, because you can buy one of those. Zzz.
Yeah, I've got one of those.
You do?
Yeah.
And you know those things? Well, it's kind of a rotary thing, and you go zzz, and you go like, I don't trust it. And I'm much, much better with a pair of scissors. I take a nice pair of scissors. Well, not to get too detailed, but here, I take my razor. I take my Gillette number 2. This part right here, I razor that very carefully, because you can get it very close. And then there's something going on here and all around there, and I get a scissor, and there I am, and I know just what to do. And this happens now about once a week, I'd say. Yes, I guess I'm living. You know, things are happening.
Well, it looks good on you. It looks good on
I
you.
did it recently, so it's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Beautiful man. Let's talk about Gerard Butler's new film. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all safe. Gerard is back, protecting us from, this time, the weather. Geostorm opens tonight. And this, I mean, it couldn't be more timely, this film, since the weather is, you know, it's quite inclement at the moment. Ophelia's just been. Who's at the moment? Is it Bob? Brian. Storm Brian, Hurricane Ophelia.
My brother's called Brian. He's just a straight pain in the ass.
But it is incredibly timely, this movie.
Well, that was the purpose of the movie. Was it Dean Devlin's daughter one day said to him, "Dad, can't we build a machine that'll stop global warming?" Which gave them this idea of what if you did build something. And of course, at the beginning of the movie, it's this kind of montage of a quick-time version of what global warming really brought humanity. And it's kind of a goosebump moment seeing this all happen, because it's not so far away from where we really are. But of course, in the movie then, I play a scientist who builds this space station, a system of satellites that can control the environment. And that's where the fun begins, though, because when that thing malfunctions, you realize if this was to go wrong, then we're all up, you know, basically we're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. But Gerard's there. You're over there. You've got a sexy, action-filled scientist.
I love scientists. I love...
Well, you played loads of scientists.
Yeah, I have, here and there.
You should have been playing this role, actually. They're like, you know...
No.
Scientist, but like you do a bit of kicking ass as well.
There's a little bit of kick-ass in there.
A PhD in kicking ass.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just because you're smart, it doesn't mean you're not
now.
cool and virile. And Dean Devlin, you say?
You worked with
the hell you say? Yeah, I love that man. What a delightful man he is. And speaking of his daughters, he's got a lovely family. No, I've worked with him. He's a great, great man.
Was he Independence Day?
Independence Day,
He was Independence Day. Yeah.
Well, this one's called Geostorm. Here's a taste of what to expect. It's epic.
We built this system of satellites to stop natural disasters. Someone is using it to create them. There's potential for catastrophic weather events on a global scale. A geostorm. It's worse than we thought.
Yeah, I think we've established that. Someone has turned the system into a weapon.
They're trying to change the map of the world.
Dear God.
Action heroes, ladies and gentlemen. Not just one on the couch tonight. Well, no, not two, because you've been an action hero. But Jack Whitehall, you are now in a show called Bounty Hunters. It starts on Sky One on the 25th of October. And, I mean, this is big. It's you and an Oscar nominee, Rosie Perez.
Oscar nominee Rosie Perez and TV Choice Award nominee. And yeah, it's an action comedy thriller. I wrote it with my collaborator Freddie Cyborn, and it's inspired by all those 80s films that I loved, like Midnight Run and Lethal Weapon and things like that. So it's my homage to those types of films.
We've got a very exciting. This is a sort of action clip. So tell us about the.
Before we see the clip, having seen the other two clips, you're going to watch this and you're going to see that we had a slightly smaller budget. Ever so slightly.
Excuses.
This is a car. This is a car chase.
It's a car chase, but in a G-Wiz electric car. Because that's all we can afford.
Let's take a look.
Brilliant.
Out the way. Stop indicating!
I'm sorry, it's a force of habit.
Ban!
You're going to be sick.
Don't you dare!
Bugger, we're running out of battery.
Sidewalk.
What?
Sidewalk!
Pavement. If you're going to give me directions, you will have to do so in the Queen's English.
No!
Excuse me. Sorry.
Can you go faster?
It doesn't go any faster. We're not going to fit.
I was terrified. That's very funny.
That is funny. But you had more than one of the. What is that? G-Wiz is it called?
The G-Wiz? We had to have two because it only had enough battery to drive for 15 minutes. So we kept having to swap in the cars. And it genuinely only does 40 miles per hour. But I want to be an action star. Like, that is, like... I loved action films when I would love to... Like, I love London Has Fallen, Olympus Has Fallen. I'd love to do one of them.
You're doing
And if
another
you're
one.
in,
Then we're about to make another one.
It's
Are we?
Angels.
Yeah, but you have to drive at more than 3 miles an hour.
I rate like post-Brexit disaster film. No, it's called The Pound Has Fallen. Me and Gerard. No, they didn't clap when I rehearsed this in front of the mirror. So it's me and you, we played like two data analysts going around the city trying to reinstill confidence in British industry. One of us is the kind of nerdy, bookish former accountant. You.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm the kind of kick down doors, ask questions later, tough cop.
Yeah.
With a slightly dodgy Scottish accent. That's me.
That'd be me too.
Good pitch.
But yeah, that's how films get made.
Yeah.
Either that or 301. It's 300, but I'm there to lighten the mood.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
What's happening?
But now, Jack Whitehall hasn't given up stand-up. You've got a new stand-up special on Netflix. It starts streaming from next Tuesday. That sounds like an illness. It starts streaming next Tuesday. Like, it'll never stop streaming. Has it stopped streaming? No. It's still streaming.
Still streaming.
But no, it's called At Large, and it's At Large because this is, because you kind of think stand-up shows, no matter how, it's just a man on a microphone. But this is, you've got big production values.
Yeah, I like putting on a show. I like bells and whistles. They say you can't glitter a turd. I prove them wrong. It has a big musical number at the end. I spoke about on this show how I auditioned for... Well, I didn't audition. I was in Frozen and then got cut.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really hurts. Let it go. I won't. So in this show, I put some of those wrongs right, and the end of the show is me trying to recreate a one-man version of Frozen on the stage.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stick around to the end.
and because, you're a very successful stand-up and you're working at a certain level, you think every gig will work. But you still have more difficult gigs. Where was the Charles and Camilla one? Was that at Buckingham Palace?
It was at Kensington Palace, and it was this weird gig that they do once a year for all the staff of Kensington Palace. And I know some other people that have done this show, and they have a magician one year, a musician, a comedian. And I went and I did this show at Kensington Palace, and it was the staff, and then Charles and Camilla in the front row literally sat in thrones. I mean, it was like the closest it could be to being the court jester. And I went on stage, and it was horrendous. I died so, and I was trying to I remember Prince Harry was out in Afghanistan at the time, so I was like, I was like, I just want to say, Prince Harry out in Afghanistan, that's so brave of him, a ginger in that heat. Yeah, I'm glad you laughed, because on the night, that went down like a dead corgi. It was the worst death I've ever had. And then afterwards, the one little bone that he threw me is I met Charles afterwards, and he just said, "You were a lot better than the contortionist that we had last year." And then, amazing to think of the year before where Charles and Camilla were sat there in their thrones as a guy climbed through a tennis racket.
Hey, don't diss contortionists.
I don't.
Because your wife, is she a contortionist?
My dear wife is, yes, she was in the Olympics. About my wife? You're excited about my wife?
No, that's so cool.
Yeah, she's a contortionist. She was, anybody want a lozenge?
Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. She was in the Olympics.
You're not getting on that after the contortionist thing.
She was a rhythmic gymnast, and she was in the Olympics in Sydney in 2000 for Canada.
I
there she is.
remember.
There she is.
Yes.
That's my darling Emily. And then she expanded her training to include Cirque du Soleil, kind of aerial things. And she does, in fact, last year she doubled Emma Stone in La La Land. All that aerial dancing outside the scene in the planetarium, that's her, dancing and twisting. Yeah. Yeah.
But can she do a contortionist? If you go on holidays, could you get in a suitcase? That kind of thing.
Well, yeah. She was a magician's assistant.
Oh, what?
Yes, and she packed herself away in a box. That's right, she did that. And she's quite bendy. And we met at the gymnasium, and I started a conversation. I saw her doing wonderful things, and I invited her to this gig. I play jazz piano, and there we were. Oh, her name is Emily. I think if you're watching Gregory Porter, I'll bet you know this old standard called Emily. I sang to her, Emily, Emily, as the murmuring sound of May. And I said, hey, Emily, you want to come up and do contortion on our piano? We had a grand piano. She said, yeah. She came up. I said, what do we play, guys? What do we play? They said, oh, that for Fabulous Baker Boys. Remember when Michelle Pfeiffer does Jamaican Whoopee? But and she got up and she did this amazing routine. That was the 2 days after we met. Wow. We're still very much in love. 6 years. Now we have 2 children, one 2.5 and one 6-month-old.
Wow.
2 boys, yeah.
How long ago was this?
6 years we met.
6 years ago.
Beautiful.
Jeff, excitingly, you are playing the piano for us tonight.
I'm so excited about that. Gregory Porter.
Yes.
Just to accompany the great Gregory Porter. Has he been on before?
Yes, his voice is I love his voice.
No, I worship him. He's a fantastic human being and musician.
So if you would like to approach that piano.
I'd like very much.
And Jack, if you could warm up for the contortionist act.
Yeah. You like, this is fake fruit. This is wooden fruit.
Yeah, it is. Don't try anything.
I hope that's on camera.
Right, this double Grammy-winning jazz artist is back with a new album entitled Nat King Cole and Me. Here performing Mona Lisa, it's Gregory Porter!
Mona Lisa, men have named you. You're so like the lady with the mystic smile. Is it only 'cause you're lonely they have blamed you for that Mona Lisa strangeness in your smile? Do you smile to tempt a lover, Mona Lisa? Or is this your way to hide a broken heart? Many dreams have been brought to your doorstep. They just lie there and they die there. Are you one? Are you real, Mona Lisa? Or just a cold and lonely, lovely work of art? Do you smile to tempt a lover, Mona Lisa? Or is this your way to hide a broken heart? Many dreams have been brought to your doorstep. They just lie there and they die there. Are you one? Are you real, Mona Lisa? Or just a cold and lonely, lovely of art? Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa. Jeff Goldblum.
made the right decision. That was the collaboration to have, because I know we spoke about me and Hillary Clinton doing Gangnam Style. That was the one.
That was really special, and there's a whole album, Nat King Cole and Me, and it is out next Friday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this album, I noticed. Look, it's proper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a 2 album?
Yeah. This is the first time I'm seeing that. So
Okay.
yeah, there's 2 records in there, I think. Yeah.
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 Yeah, you got the 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, normally this is fake, but
Yeah.
that is real. That is real.
Yeah.
You look like you want it, Jeff.
I can't take the only copy, but I would cherish that. He already gave me backstage a CD. Yeah, but I'll give you that's yours. Well, my gosh, Emily got me a record player. I could play it on the record player. That's the way I first heard Nat's music. So for me, on the record player is how it should be heard.
No, because I mean it's interesting because everybody loves Nat King Cole's voice, but this is a very personal thing. That when you were a kid, he was really important to you.
Yeah, I have to have a personal connection to the music in order to get into it. So Nat, my mother said I recorded a little song on a tape recorder at about 6 and played it for my mother when she came home from work. She said, "Boy, you sound like Nat King Cole," and I didn't know what that was, what condition that was, and so, but I did. I found out it was a singer, and then went into her records and put on that music, and that warm, rich sound was coming to me. These beautiful lyrics: "Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, start all over again. Smile though your heart is aching. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return." That's lessons to live by, life lessons, fatherly advice. I came to Nat's music in the absence of my father, and so that's what drew me really, really tight into that music. And,
that's a beautiful, beautiful story. And I mean, to my untrained ear, Jeff Goldblum sounded very good. Was he all right?
Yeah, no, he was cool. Jeff has his own style, and that's. Listen, when you look at this hat, I have my own style.
Yes, you do.
That's almost a requirement of jazz, and so that was beautifully played. And that was Jeff Goldblum style, This is my second time meeting Jeff. Can we change subject? We met in the airport, and Jeff is a gregarious guy, He kind of bum rushes me, like boom, and come like gets this close, and he was like, Gregory, be good. Yes. Oh, the lyrics, the intimacy, the way that you make people feel, the conversations that you're having with your heart, with the emotions, it's extraordinary. I think I want to work with you.
Listen, that is it for tonight. Please, a huge thank you to my guest, Gregory Porter. Jack Whitehall. Jeff Butler. And, of course, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Join me next week with music icon Morrissey, top model Cara Delevingne, actress Claire Foy, comic genius Adam Sandler, and double Oscar winner Emma Thompson. I'll see you then. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
I'm sure you know that Graham's on Radio 2 every Saturday morning at 10. Guests tomorrow include the renowned illustrator Sir Quentin Blake. You'll recognise all his work from the Roald Dahl books. Here next, the comedy keeps coming with Josh.